Hartmann Program.
And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. I want to get into a topic that we've never done before on this show. I don't think a lot of people talk about it, but it's something that's common to all of us, which is our teeth and dentistry and the business of dentistry and the science and practice of dentistry. And with me is Dr. Joon Kim, who is a dentist in practice here in D.C., my dentist and a friend, and in my opinion, one of the best dentists I've ever met in my life. And Joon, it's great to have you with us. And yeah, and thank you. Is his mic working? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me?
There
okay,
we go.
Good.
Now I can hear you.
There we go.
And you can hear you. So Joon, tell us. You first became an engineer and then you became a dentist.
Mm-hmm.
What is the state of dentistry in the United States, and what are your thoughts on just the business, the industry, as it were?
Well, I think to understand dentistry, you got to understand a little bit more about the insurance part of it. There's basically three different types of business in dentistry, which is the HMO practice, and then the PPO practice, and what's called the fee-for-service practice. The HMO stands for Health Maintenance Organization. PPO stands for Preferred Provider Organization. And fee-for-service basically means that you're paying out of your own pocket.
Right.
What the name and what it means really don't matter. What really matters is how they're run. The HMO practice are basically, all of these HMO, PPO all came from the medical field.
Right.
And they got transferred over to the dental field, but the problem with that is they're totally different animals to start off with. The business is totally different, and how HMO usually how it works is basically they're paid upon how many patients you see. So depends on how many patients. If you see 10 patients, 10 times the amount that each insurance pays you in a sense.
Right.
So the more people you see on a day, the more profits you make out of it.
So you would have, as a dentist, you would have an incentive to move people along
sure.
and see as many people as possible if they're HMO patients,
Mhm.
regardless
And
of what
regardless-
their dental needs might be.
Sure, yeah. It's regardless of what kind of procedure you do, you're paid. I mean, is a little bit of difference of pay, but it really isn't too much to the point that because you have to pay for all these lab fees with the dental, you actually lose money by doing a crown or a root canal or some other procedure.
Really, because they're more extensive procedures and
they take a little bit longer. They obviously take a lot longer, but they also is a cost for us from the lab that we have to pay them for. So people and dentists tend to shy away a little bit from a difficult procedure in a sense because of the time constraint that they have.
Right. If they're in an HMO or if they're being paid by an HMO.
Sure.
PPO is the same thing?
PPO is essentially it's a discount plan. All of these plans are you're contracted with the insurance companies.
Right.
And the insurance company dictates on pretty much how much you're getting paid for each procedure. And essentially, for each procedure, you're given a certain amount of pay, regardless of where you go.
Right.
And each state is a little bit different of how much you get paid for each procedure, but it's essentially the same.
Right.
But the problem with that is also there's a limit of how much you could use in a sense. Most insurance companies average about $2,000 a year. And I've seen some federal governments that pay a lot more, close to up to $10,000. For a limit. I'm not too sure, but I know in D.C. we have a lot of federal insurances and federal governments that actually their employees get a lot higher benefit.
Oh, interesting.
For it.
Okay, so they just have a very good plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the federal plans, I think, is one of the best plans out there. The problem with that, most people think that dentists make a lot of money off of how many procedures you do, but it really is a very set plan in the sense that the insurance company pays a certain amount and the lab charges you a certain amount. So you're in a sense a middleman. You pay, you have a set fee that you're getting and a set fee that you're paying out.
Right.
So there really isn't too much.
You once made a comment to me about a lab that you said, I wouldn't use this lab. Their product is not as good, even though they charge less, and so I'd make more profit. I'd rather use a lab that produces a better product that's more expensive, and I make less money.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was pretty startling. It was a real testimonial to your integrity as a dentist and as a as a business person. But is that widespread? I mean, do dentists sometimes go with cheaper stuff because it makes them more money?
So, like I was saying, there's a set fee that you're getting from an insurance company.
Right.
It's essentially a contract between the dentist and the insurance company, and it's not really a both way. The insurance company, it's like renting a house. They have a contract, a set price for each one, and
Right.
either you take it or you leave it. If you take that plan, then your margin is pretty much set. The only way for you to make more profits is to, unfortunately, use a cheaper lab or cheaper product to make that profit
Right.
bigger.
So if you know that you're going to get reimbursed
X amount of money. Then,
it's $200 for a crown, or I don't even have any idea what these numbers actually are, but yeah.
usually crowns cost about they charge about $600-$800.
The lab charges you as a dentist.
No, the dentist
the dentist
charges the patient for it.
Right.
But the fee ranges all the way from close to $100 to all the way to $500.
So as a dentist, you could pay for that crown as little as $100 or as much as $500.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen lab that cost a lot more than that too.
Oh, really?
But so your margins are it's not that great. It's not that big in a sense.
And then fee for services is just, I walk in off the street, I don't have insurance, I don't have a PPO, and I need dental work done, please do it, right?
Pretty much the fee for service it frees the dentist from charging how much you want to charge for the patient.
Right.
It gets a little bit more pricey for the patient, of course, but it also frees the dentist from using whatever.
Most dentists have basically a price list. Here's a root canal, here's a tooth extraction, here's a filling replacement. Why don't dentists charge by the hour?
That's a good question. I don't think we have that system in place right now. I think the ideal, in my sense, is like we were discussing before about charging for X amount of hours. Right. And maybe billing the patients for the lab material cost of it. That way, it gets a clelear understanding of.
But that's not a model that exists right now in the dental.
No, not in the dental world.
Yeah, fascinating. And by the way, we'll take calls if you have any questions for Dr. Kim. We're talking with Dr. Joon Kim. When we were doing our setup meeting this morning with our producers and Louise and whatnot, everybody had questions they wanted to ask you. Do dentists push people into testing to make more money? Years ago, I had a dentist who said, "Oh, you've got to go have oral surgery to have your gums scraped or something," and it was this $3,000. It was this very expensive procedure. And another dentist later said, "Oh, he just pushed you into that because he got a commission." Is that true?
I think it comes down to there's always 4 barriers in any medicine. One is fear, one is money, one is time, and the other one is trust.
Right.
Obviously, if you have a trust issue with the doctor you're with, then obviously I think you should go get a second opinion or a third opinion for that.
Which is what I did.
I think each procedure, definitely the procedures that the doctor recommend has a sound reasons for it. Yeah. But sometimes there's a borderline between whether you should be a little bit more conservative or a little bit more aggressive.
Right.
And that's when the doctor's decision comes into play.
And it can be ultimately a financial decision for that dentist.
Of course, too.
And, yeah. So, interesting. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with your calls for Dr. Joon Kim. She's a brilliant young dentist here in Washington, D.C., who was willing to come on the radio and television here and share his thoughts. We've got some great questions already, so we'll be back with your questions about dentistry for Dr. Kim.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Oh, good. We'll be back with your questions for Dr. Joon, J-O-O-N, Dr. Joon Kim, right after this. And welcome back. Randy, listening on KBAI in Bellingham, Washington. You are on the air with Dr. Kim.
Yes, Dr. Kim, I had a question. I wanted to know if you're familiar with a condition called phantom tooth, where if you have a tooth pulled, if there's any ganglia, muscle attachments left in the socket, your body thinks that the tooth is still there, forms a membrane over the cavity, and it causes an infection because it doesn't ever heal. Are you familiar with this condition? I had this condition and went through an ordeal that lasted over 6 months and cost me actually lose part of the bone in my jaw because of the resulting infection. So I'm just wondering if you're familiar with this.
I think what you're talking about is called dry socket. Did you have some pain after you took out that tooth?
Yeah, they did. They said they said it was a dry socket, and they did the treatment for that. Mm-hmm. But it healed over, but it kept. I had this swelling in my face where it was swelled up. Mm-hmm. And, it's kind of a long story, which I know we don't have time for, but it swelled up, and it healed over, and it looked like it was healed over, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It just had a thin layer.
So the bottom line question, Randy, is what? Is it a question of what should you do, or is it a question of what should somebody in this circumstance do, or what should have happened in the first place, or what?
I guess my question is, I consulted my regular dentist, an oral surgeon, and my MD, and nobody is familiar with this. I looked on the internet, and that's how I learned of it, and it just doesn't seem to be a well-known thing.
Okay.
I think what you're referring to is called dry socket. Do you smoke or do you drink?
I dropped the call. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
So this is the kind of thing that happens more frequently for people who are smokers?
Yes, who smoke, or I know a lot of people who smoke, they can't wait until even after they take out the tooth, they go immediately back to smoking again. You want to wait about at least 3 to 7 days before you start smoking again. The problem is the constriction of the vessels. Once you smoke, you actually the blood vessels in the area constricts, which means there's less blood circulation in that area. So it makes it harder for that bone area to actually get nutrition and healing.
Is this the mechanism by which smoking causes heart disease, high blood pressure, and why people who smoke are more likely to lose their teeth?
Yes, to a certain degree, yes, it is. Smokers have a high degree of heart problems because of the same reasons.
Yeah, because it's tightening the capillaries.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, that's interesting. The flip side of that is the nitrate drugs that open the capillaries, and niacinamide and things. Could somebody who was a smoker use niacin, high levels of niacin that cause them to flush? Would that compensate for it, or would it? Probably not.
Unfortunately, once you have dry socket, you have dry socket, and the only way to cure it is actually removing some of that dry bone in there, but also it comes with a lot of pain. So the only way to actually resolve it is to weigh it out. Your body will eventually heal itself up, but during that time, you don't want to smoke, or you don't want to cause anything that it could irritate the area more.
Right. You said drinking. Does alcohol cause a problem with dry socket tooth?
More of a smoking issue than drinking, but the same thing. With alcohol too, it dries up the area. You want to stay away from it.
We'll be back with more of your questions for Dr. Kim right after this. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Dr. Joon Kim is in the studio with us. One of the best dentists I've ever met, and a really, really smart guy. And answering your questions, Chuck in Selma, Oregon. Hey, Chuck, you're on the air with Dr. Kim.
Yeah, Tom. I love your program, by the way, and I watch it all the time.
Thank you.
I'm 70 years old, and I'm retired, and I'm on Social Security, and I can't afford I don't have insurance, so I can't afford the dental work here locally, and a lot of the older people in this area go to a little town in Mexico below Yuma, Arizona, to get their dental work done. It's way cheaper there, and I wanted to know what he thinks about the safety of going into Mexico for dental work.
Do you have any familiarity with that?
Yes, I do. I've actually do see some people that actually go to Mexico to get their work because it is cheaper down there. One question from me to you is, do you qualify?
Chuck is gone. I'm
I
sorry.
see. If he's 70 years old, he should be qualified for at least Medicaid or Medicare.
Right.
And there are offices that take Medicaid and Medicare.
Dental offices
yes.
that take Medicare.
Locally, he should look for those first, other than flying out. Because still in the States, it's more regulated with what kind of material you could use, especially for crowns. Nowadays, crowns are getting shipped all the way to China, too. And you really don't know what they're made out of. And it's kind of the same issue with Mexico. You want to be somewhat more local, where, especially in the States, where it's more regulated
and
by FDA.
Accountable to you. I mean,
Yes.
if a dentist screws you up in the States, you can go back and knock on his door. If he screws you up in Mexico, it's
I'm gonna have to go back.
Another $1,000 airplane ride. Yeah, fascinating. John in Philadelphia, you're on the air with Dr. Kim.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. My question is two-part. One is, because of the advancements in technology, how come certain dental instruments aren't made out of hard plastic? Because people have this phobia with metal touching their teeth. And two is because insurance is so expensive. But we all know, is it true that your teeth really do affect your overall health? And why doesn't insurance cover that? You think it would, since it does affect your health. And I'll take my answer offline.
Thank you, John.
Okay, for the first question, with the plastic instruments, it has to do with the sterilization. With plastic instruments, it's much harder for you to sterilize it. And with hot sterilization, it melts, so you can't really go through those. You have to do cold sterilization. And you want to make sure that the instrument you're going through the patient is sterile by all means. So that's why we still stick with the metal instruments. And the second question, I believe, was regarding...
it was what? General health. Yeah,
health.
Your teeth affecting your health.
Yes, definitely. It definitely does. More and more now we're finding more research regarding it, whereas more linked toward overall health, especially diabetes and heart problems. We already know that it's very linked to it.
Yeah, there's an association between gum disease and heart disease, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
And it has to do with inflammation in the body?
Endocarditis, which is inflammation of your heart.
Right.
People who have a higher risk of that also has to make sure that they are taking antibiotic prior to coming to a dental office.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow, interesting. Okay. Johnny in Lamarck, Texas. You're on the air with Dr. Kim. Johnny?
Hello?
Hey, you're on the air, Johnny.
Okay, I didn't hear the sound. This is a great public service you have, considering the political climate where people are denied health care.
Yeah.
My question has to do with these drugstore packaged dent temp materials. My filling in my top left sixth tooth from the front fell out several months ago, and I've been really careful to keep that tooth clean. And I'm wondering why the instructions for this dent temp talks about rinsing your mouth and area out with warm water, but not maybe rinsing some Listerine in there to really clean the inside of that tooth before I put the dent temp putty in there. And would I be able to remove that putty if I had a problem, or do I need a dentist to do that?
The reason probably with Listerine is sometimes Listerine has alcohol in it, and alcohol dries up the area. You don't want, when the area gets dried up, it irritates the area in a sense. So you want to stick with something more water or anything more that it's written on the prescription on that thing. But with the temporary, how it usually works is when they meet liquid, it actually hardens up. It's just like any dental material. When it touches liquid, it hardens up to a certain degree with these temporary materials. And when you put in the tooth and it hardens up, I mean, it's there for good unless it comes off on its own. And yes, you could try to scrape it out, but usually the temporary is there so that you could get to the dentist without having too much pain.
Right. So within a few days or a few weeks of putting that temporary in, you better get to a dentist and
Especially
turn it into
if you have a
real
big decay in it, it's actually best to not put it in because it actually relieves pressure from the tooth.
Not having it there.
Not having it does.
Oh,
so sometimes if you put the temporary on, you could actually have more pain because of that issue.
Oh, very interesting. We have just a minute until the break. Our callers will hang on. We'll get to you afterwards. Real quick question. Metal versus ceramic fillings. A lot of people don't like mercury in their mouth. Is that a legitimate concern?
Long time ago, we used to do all mercury. The reason for it was we didn't have this new technology, composite, which is a plastic, essentially plastic material. Nowadays, we're all moving to composite, which is mostly because of aesthetic reason, but it also has a bonding property. So before amalgam, which has a mercury content, nowadays people are concerned about that. ADA came out and said that the mercury content in it is actually a lot lower than eating salmon or any other fish. So it is it is pretty safe. But the highest content comes out when you place it and when you actually remove it.
So then the dentist has been exposed to it too.
To a certain degree, but the amount of mercury is very small.
Yeah. But the new white fillings actually seal better.
Yes.
They work better. Okay, we got to take a break. We'll be back with your questions for Dr. 28 minutes before the hour, Thom Hartmann here with you. It's our Ask the Dentist Hour. Dr. Joon Kim has just doing a favor here. Dropped by and sharing his thoughts and his experience in the dental field with us. Just a quick question before we go to the callers, and we've got a bunch of them. Do people have to have their wisdom teeth removed if they're not causing a problem?
Yes, I think you should take it out, especially in the early age, between 15 to 30. You don't want to pass over 30 because your bone gets brittle. More and more as you age, your bone gets brittle, so you have a higher chance of fracturing your bone, fracturing your jaws. Just healing takes a lot longer too.
Yeah.
And your bones are more brittle.
And as you get older, the shape of your mouth changes, the placement of your teeth changes, and that wisdom tooth will start to become a problem, even if it's not one when you're in your 20s.
Essentially, almost everybody ends up having problems with their wisdom tooth because majority of people don't have their wisdom tooth coming out the proper way.
Interesting. That would be a fascinating, study the DNA of this and how did this happen and where in human evolution and
They're talking about how before time we used to eat a lot of grass and stuff, so our jaws used to be a lot bigger, so we actually had more function and more use for the back teeth. But as we got to more civilized, we're using more forks and knives, so we really don't have too much use of the back teeth, which are used for grinding more food. So now our jaws are getting smaller.
So Homo erectus is different than Homo sapiens in terms of diet. As our diet evolved, our mouth didn't quite keep up. Fascinating stuff. Dan in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Hey, Dan, you're on the air with Dr. Joon Kim.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Kim.
Hi.
I have a question here, but I have a feeling I know the answer already on the internet. But deep cleaning, when is it? I guess you're not going to know as a patient, but when is it not necessary? When is it necessary? Should you get a second opinion? I know it has to do periodontal disease, et cetera, and I don't have to stay online to hear, I guess. So, I don't have to stay on the phone to hear your answer.
Thank you, Dan.
Well, periodontal disease is just like diabetes. Once you have it for life. And
you mean type 1 diabetes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So if you have periodontal disease, that means that you actually lost bone around your tooth. And once you lose bone around your tooth, it's very hard for you to clean underneath your gum tissue. That's the biggest problem is you're able to brush anything on top of your gum, but anything below your gum, you're not able to brush at all. So a lot of calculus and tartar buildup goes underneath your bone, underneath your gum tissue, and that causes more bone loss around your tooth. And that's why you need deep cleaning. And yes, it is more expensive than a regular cleaning, but it's also a lot harder process and a little bit more painful, but it's more rewarding process. And especially if you have periodontal disease, you definitely need to get
Is that
filling
because the
replanted.
calculus and the tartar are basically a substrate on which bacteria live and grow, or do
Yes,
they
they're
themselves?
colonies.
They're colonies.
It starts out with plaque that builds up on your tooth every 30 minutes. And over time, if you don't brush those, they actually harden up and become what's called a tartar and calculus.
Right.
And when that happens, then it becomes impossible, almost impossible for you to scrape them off or brush them off. So that's when you need your professional help, your hygienist, to come and clean it off for you.
Right. Remarkable. The things you learn. Randall in Oceanside, California. You're on the air with Dr. Joon Kim.
Hello?
Hi, Randall.
Yeah, my question for the doctor is this. On the PPOs, does he think that a lot of them could be scams where the initial charges for the procedure and then what they say the insurance is paying, and then what they finally charge you is actually what it was originally supposed to cost? So the insurance company's not out of pocket anything, and you're out of pocket everything to cover the expense of the procedure?
With your PPO plan, there's tons of PPO plans, but each PPO plan has a percentage of what they're going to cover. You must make sure that you look over your plan before you buy those PPO plans, because some of them will say major, which is crown or root canal or anything else. They'll say either they cover at 50% or 100% or 0%. If that happens, then the office will charge depending on that. Actually, by law, it's a contract that the dentist and the insurance make. So they're not able to actually adjust on the price or give you any discount or overcharge you for it.
And thank you for the call, Randall. Are there programs? I remember back 20, 30 years ago, there was, I was an employer, and this guy came to me and he said, we've got this plan that is sort of like dental insurance, but it's not insurance. And here's a list of out of the 150 dentists in the Lansing, Michigan area. This was back when we were there. It's in the late 70s, actually. That out of all these dentists, we've got 35 dentists signed up, and these are the prices that they'll do things for. And we're not actually paying the dentists. They're just agreeing to work for a discount. And in exchange for that, we're referring them patients. So it was basically kind of a patient referral service, but they were calling it dental insurance. Or they said you can they give this to your employees as a benefit, as an employee benefit, and then we would pay them, I don't know, $25, $50 a month, something like that, and say we've got this employee benefit. And if they could get a bunch of employers signed up, then they would make money that way, and the dentist.
That actually sounds like the beginning of HMO, or I don't know if the HMO practice was back then, but that's kind of the concept of how HMO works, is by the amount of patients you see. And the insurance company actually pays for just not the procedure, but how many people you see.
Right. Okay. So, but I think that was just basically a marketing agreement kind of thing. Those have gone away by and large.
I think that kind of evolved into the HMO practice.
Right. But as a dentist, when somebody comes in with a PPO, the PPO actually writes you a check, right, for part of the procedure.
Part of the procedure. Now they have all the rights to deny it too. So when a crown's done, usually that doesn't mean that the insurance will cover for that crown for sure.
Right.
The dentist has the right to claim it to the insurance company, and it's the insurance who actually make a decision if they want to pay for it or not. If they don't pay for it, then it becomes billed to the patient.
Right. Whoa. Okay. Rick in Weston, West Virginia. You're on the air with Dr. Kim.
Yes, I have a question for the doctor. I wear a top plate and I have a bottom partial. I've had the top plate for about a little over 3 years, and I was wondering, what do you think about the type of top plate attaches with, I believe, is 3 studs? And because sometimes my top plate gets uncomfortable. If I'm driving long distances, I'll pop it out and put it in a console, and if I get home, I pop it out. And I'd like to be able to eat corn on the cob and eat an apple. And it's a well-fitting top plate. My dental works excellent, but I was wondering the pros and cons of a permanently attached top plate. Thank you.
when you talk about permanently placed, it sounds more like it's going to be attached with an implant underneath it.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. Three studs.
Yeah, actually, that's more nowadays more becoming the standard of care. Now for dentures, I mean, a lot of people have the same problem. I actually know a lot of older gentlemen and women who they make 7 dentures and then they put it in their closet because they say it's uncomfortable for them to wear. And every year they come back to make a brand new piece that they wear for a few months. So the biggest problem is, like he was saying, about wanting to eat steak, corns, and apples, the hard stuff.
Right.
As time goes, your bone's gonna change. Even if you have a plate on it, as time goes, since your bone don't feel like it has any purpose of being there, and as you get older, your bone dissolves, your place is gonna start to loosen up. To prevent that, you gotta have implants placed. For the top one, it's ideally to place about 3 to 4. And especially for the bottom one, the top one actually holds in a lot better than the bottom one, because the bottom one you have your tongue and there's really not that much bone, and the bone quality is actually a lot worse on the bottom part.
In the jaw as opposed to basically the skull. On the top here,
exactly. So for the bottom part, I really recommend you at least get 4 implants, 3 or 4 implants on the bottom.
So if somebody was just very unhappy with their teeth and was thinking about, and this is the kind of thing people go to Mexico for, thinking of just nuke my mouth and replace everything. Is it best to do that as where they laminate things on the front? What are those called?
Veneers?
Veneers, yeah. Is that the best way to do it, or is it better to have them all capped, or better to have them all taken out and have plates put in? What?
Now, the most important thing is once you take out a tooth, you could never get it back.
Right.
And no matter how good the denture and these dentures fit, they're really not as good as your natural teeth, no matter how crooked your natural teeth are.
So your best option then would be capping or veneers.
Everything in dentistry, it goes through a process, an aging process. When you have a small cavity, you get a filling, and then if that gets bigger, you get a crown, and if the nerve's involved, then you get a root canal and a crown. And if that after that happens, you have to remove that tooth and put an implant in. But implant is pretty much the last step. Other than that, once you can't do an implant, then the only option you have is putting a denture in, which really is the worst option in a sense.
That's the worst. So that's the thing you want to avoid.
Yes, because you can't eat any corn and apples anymore after that.
No more corn or apples. Okay. Dr. Joon Kim will be back with more of your questions right after this.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
We'll be back with your questions for my friend, Dr. Joon Kim, right after this. And welcome back. Pam in Falls Church, Virginia, watching Free Speech TV on the Dish Satellite Network. You're on the air with Dr. Kim.
Hi, Dr. Kim. Thanks for sharing your expertise. My grandfather was a dentist, and we always knew to hold on to your teeth because you won't get any more. My question is about the development of 3D printing with regard to medical and dental procedures. I've seen quite a bit in the media lately. And there was a recent discussion on the Larry King show on RT network regarding usage of 3D printing technology for the use of crowns and bridges. So I just wondered if that technology is being implemented, and if you have any information on whether costs would come down in the future. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pam.
Yes, there actually already people are using it. They call it nowadays one-day crown. They're advertising that as a one-day crown, where you actually come in and they drill the tooth, and actually they take a digital image of the tooth, and you have a milling machine there where it mills a block of porcelain or zirconia, which is these crowns are made out of. They drill it right there. It takes about about 45 minutes for the crown to be made, 20 to 45 minutes, and you just glue it on right there. So it's a one-day process. More and more, the technology is getting better, and the price is obviously going to come down. It got a lot cheaper than about 3 years ago, and the technology is getting more and more refined. Right. So I think definitely that's going to be the next future. Nowadays, even people are scanning in those tooth instead of taking those gummy impressions that we do. People are now actually taking digital image of the tooth and sending it through email to the lab. And the lab just takes that image, it's a computer file, and they actually make the crown to you and then send it straight to you. So,
wow. A lot going on with that. David in Silver Springs, Florida. You're on the air with Dr. Kim. David?
Who?
Yeah, David,
Yeah,
watching
David?
Free Speech TV. You're on the air.
Yeah, that's me. Okay. My question is more to do with the insurance companies. I don't believe that any of the insurance companies or dental plans cover implants or anything like that. And they keep saying that it's all cosmetic. The implants are not all cosmetic. Some people's teeth are loose in their mouth, and they're not getting any tighter by sitting there. I don't believe that the insurance companies and the dentists are doing anything to bring the cost of dental work down.
Right.
I think they're just sitting there letting it ride out and getting as much as they can.
David, we just have 30 seconds to the break. Let's let Dr. Kim respond.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. It definitely isn't cosmetic. More and more nowadays, they're starting to, this is ADA, all the dentists agree with you on that point. It's definitely not cosmetic. More and more insurance companies are starting to cover it, starting to cover implants because they see the need of it. And hopefully the price will go down with it. But right now, as it stands, I know a lot of insurance companies still don't cover implants.
How does an implant, do they just hammer it into the bone?
It's just like putting a nail in the drywall in a sense.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more complicated than that. It's made out of titanium. A lot of people think that it has a lot of pain involved with it. Your actually bone does not have any pain sensors in it. So you might hear a lot of sound and a lot of drilling, which makes a lot of people fearful, but not pain.
We have to wrap it up. We'll be right back. Welcome back. 10 minutes before the hour. Thom Hartmann here with you, and Dr. Joon Kim in the studio with us answering your questions. Ask a Dentist. Linda in Deerfield Beach, Florida. You're on the air with Dr. Kim.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. I was curious. My brother's life was taken by oral cancer in 2012. And what are the signs of oral cancer, and are they hereditarial? Do they run in genes? And I'll take your questions off the air because I will say that he did not have dental insurance. He had no insurance at all. Thank you for answering the question.
Thanks, Linda. And also, I'd add to that, to what extent do mouth and throat cancers are they associated with previous infections of things like papilloma? I know that there's some talk about that, the genital warts and things.
Mm-hmm. First of all, I'm sorry to hear that your dad passed away. Definitely, it is somewhat genetic involved. The lesion that you should watch out is on your soft tissue, especially your tongue area, underneath your tongue, or side of your tongue. If you start to see some white lesions, you should go to a dentist and just have it checked out. That's why every 6 months, if you're really worried about it, and especially somebody near you died of oral cancer, you should definitely go see a dentist every 6 months just to get it checked out, and make sure you ask them for the oral cancer screening. Right. And they'll go over.
And that's basically just a visual screening that you do. And
there's 2 ways. They do a visual screening, which is necessary, but another thing is they actually have chemicals. There's test chemicals you actually flush your mouth with, and under UV light or any special lights, they actually take a look at it, and it actually shows a different color.
Oh, interesting. If it's cancer or precancer.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty definitive. Russell in Stockton, California. You're on the air with Dr. Kim.
Yes, hi. I'm a first-time caller to your program.
Well, thank you.
And the question I have, I know you are big on keeping the jobs in America.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a dental technician, and I have training at LVI Institute in Las Vegas and also Dawson Institute. But what I'm seeing is that the clinicians are driving down the price toward the labs, but yet their cost fee for service has not dropped. So I think one gentleman called in and was saying that why is the price still high? Because the price for the client is the same, but the labs drop. So my question is, how is it that the doctors and the labs can work together to create more jobs in America, where it's a win for the labs, a win for the doctor? Because what I see, honestly, Mr. Thom, in this industry is we have very few certified technicians in this field.
Right.
And
there's a lot of outsourcing going on?
A lot of outsourcing. And I would just compare this to the medical field. I mean, imagine going to the hospital and have one nurse for the whole hospital. And that's what we see. I'm a certified technician, and I have one other person in the lab that I work in, of 50 people, doing work that is going into the patient's mouth. And so it's kind of scary.
So there's 50 people in your lab making things that go into people's mouths, and you're the only one who's certified, who's licensed.
Only one with national certification. I only got that because I did previous military experience and in the Army, so I was already trained. It was easy for me to get it.
Yeah.
So there isn't any further training.
Let's get Dr. Kim's thoughts on this. This is a
very valid point. I actually I'm on your side on this point because I believe that we do need a lot more dental technicians, and unfortunately less and less. There's schools. There's not even that many schools left that actually teaches dental technicians, and they're the most valuable people we have in the dental community because they're the one who actually makes the majority of the work that dentists put into patients' mouths. With the price that you were talking about, if you're taking fee for service, then I can't really talk to you anything more about that because it's a matter of that dentist and your
you negotiate that with your dentist.
Exactly. But with the insurance, a lot of dental offices who take insurance, the fees are unfortunately going down. And as you know, the tax law changed, and now they're taxing on medical materials and medical equipments too. So the margins are actually getting smaller for both technicians and the doctor. And I totally believe that we should value more of the dental technicians, and we definitely need a lot more. It's unfortunate that there's only one of you and 50 people who are working in your office.
Is he an example of the kind of lab where you'd say, that's not the best lab?
That's the problem, because obviously people like him who are taught and who have a lot of hand skills involved, their work actually shows on their crowns.
Right.
But a lot of lab we also see is a lot of times these people do it and then they send off the work to these 50 people that don't have any of these LVI experience or anything that he was talking about, which is our excellent programs to get certified in.
This is the difference between the $100 crown and the $500 crown that you were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah, remarkable. Chris in Chicago, we have just 1 minute left. Chris, got a quick question for Dr. Kim?
Oh, yes, I do. I was wondering his thoughts on oil pulling, because I've been doing oil pulling, and that's like where you swish oil in your mouth, like coconut oil or sesame oil, not sesame, or any kind of oil, like a cooking oil.
Right.
And then it's supposed to take bacteria out of your gums, and it does leave my gums actually feeling better since I've been doing it.
Your thoughts on that?
I actually had 2 patients who actually did the same thing as you did. Scientific-wise, I have no idea whether it works. I haven't seen any research on it. I do know some people are actually starting to do that more and more. But I also seen people who also use baking soda to do that too. And people who actually use baking soda end up having a whiter teeth by side effect in a sense.
Interesting. Thank you for the call, Chris. So, bottom line, brush your teeth. Floss. And baking soda is good.
Yes, and make sure you should go to a dentist every 6 months.
There you go. Dr. Joon Kim, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Great having you.